Hello everybody, welcome to Exodus Gaming. I'm Outer Exodus, and I'm joined today by Goafan77, the creator of Star Wars Interregnum. And
hello everyone.
Yeah, we're going to play a little match, and I'm probably going to get beat really bad by the AI. But maybe talk a little bit while we go. Now, there is no difference between the two Rebel Alliance pictures, right?
Nope, that's just to fill up the screen until the New Republic gets added in some future update.
Nice. Okay, very cool. Alright, we are all set.
Who do you feel like fighting today? Or do we want to just go random?
I'm good on random. Could be regular Sins, could be Star Wars. I'm good.
Yeah, we don't know. Alright, let's get this started.
Community play it a lot, so...
Last time I checked a few days ago, I think we're at 35, between 3,500 and 4,000.
Nice.
It's been, what, a little more than 2 weeks?
My sense of time has been completely destroyed.
Well, I don't know, last week I had one of those, oh man, it's Wednesday, but it feels like it should be Friday kind of things, so...
More like you were wishing it was Friday.
Yeah, well, it's really bad when your body thinks it's Friday and it's Wednesday. I mean, you're always wishing it's Friday.
Oh yeah. Use team colors. I like that better because it actually shows stuff up. Ooh, pretty. Now, are a lot of these models you have done, or Max has done a couple models for you, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, I mean, almost all but one of the Imperial capital ships are actually Max's models, and the Liberty for your Rebels is one of Max's models as well. A lot of the Starfighter are Max's. I'm really a programmer more than anything else. That's even my job now, so... I mean, I do a lot of work with getting the textures ready for Sins. I did actually get Max to send me his models in their raw form so I can make some personalized touches.
Nice.
If you actually look at the Star Destroyers, like the Imperial classes in Sins of the Galactic Empire, which uses Max's originals versus the ones in Interregnum, you'll notice the front two turrets put forward, and I redid the engines.
Yep.
So I mean,
I noticed the engine difference.
Stuff, but I just don't have quite the artistic skills to be able to take a ship from scratch and do what I want, or start with nothing and get an awesome looking ship out of that. Something I'm still working on.
Yeah, that's something I as well am working on because it's just completely over my head at the moment.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get... Oh, I can build another capital ship. And I see you used some of the... Went with some of the cooler, like, X-Wing Alliance, or X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and X-Wing Alliance style Mon Cal cruisers too, that are kind of canon, kind of not canon.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, this mod was first started before Disney got rid of the whole expanded universe thing, so.
And made a whole lot of people angry.
I'm enjoying whatever Disney does with it at this point. So,
yeah.
But if it was canon when they got rid of it however many months ago, then I'm considering it, perfectly fine to use.
Yeah. Right. Hey, they look nice, so... as soon as I saw that Mon Cal cruiser roll off the line, I'm like, oh, hey, I remember that from X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
I think the command cruiser there is actually was from Return of the Jedi, but yeah, I think 2 of the Mon Cal cruiser designs are from X-Wing Alliance.
Yep.
And of course, there's 5 MC-80.
I think the MC-80 and the MC-80A, I think are.
Yep. And those are I'm using them as sort of the earlier model MC-80s, when the Mon Cal Army were first experimenting with weaponizing them. kind of thing. So
Oh yeah. Yep.
that's why they don't look quite as, developed. And then the command cruiser and especially the Liberty and CADB are older, more, once they've got some experience and more money to invest in that kind of thing.
Well,
So
makes
there's
sense.
definitely a progression. Although I should say, even though they're earlier, I designed the abilities, like when the New Republic comes out, they're only going to share 3 capital ships with the rebels. So,
Ooh, nice.
because of course the New Republic is going to have all, the newer ships that came out in the, the novels and that kind of thing, well after Endor. So.
So you're going to be doing more like the were they just called like the new class? I forget what they were even called.
New class not all of them, but there will definitely be a lot of new class ships. The Nebula, of course, is a fan favorite and one of mine. Just this very sleek-looking Star Destroyer, MC-90 endurance carriers. You've seen this, some of them that you've seen in other mods.
Yep.
I'm also planning to. I think one I know. I'm not sure if. The only other mod that I know the roster pretty much memorized is SOGE, but I want to have the Republic class Star Destroyer in there. I don't think they're planning on using that one.
That's the kind of rounded Star Destroyer, right?
Yeah, it's actually it has more of circular shapes. Yeah, I guess, or for lack of a better term.
Yeah, round, circular. I know which one you're talking about. Whether or not I can adequately describe it is a different thing.
Yeah, it's if you haven't seen a picture of it, it might be a little hard to.
Yeah, I know it from it was in. I played a lot of the Imperial Civil War mod for Empire at War, so.
All right. Yeah.
They have it in that one, so.
I'll admit I haven't actually played any Empire at War mods, so it's kind of a lot of people,
might be missing out, because yes, some of them are pretty nice.
But I mean, honestly, I played Empire at War and Forces of Corruption for a bit, but as soon as I got Sins, I never played it again.
Yeah, I do like the only thing with Sins, I think, and I discovered this more since I started modding, but it's a nice engine, but it is rather limited in what it can do.
Sins or Empire at War?
Sins, sorry. Empire at War is just a really old engine, so that has its own problems, but
yeah.
Yeah, I love Sins. I love the cinematic feel of Sins, but there's certain strategy elements that I think the engine kind of leaves out that a game like Empire at War with the Grand Empire overview kind of has. Oh, I love Moncal cruisers. Oh yeah, you definitely have a lot of weapon hardpoints on these things. It's just the way Sin's capital ships work. When there's only one ship, they only use like one of their hardpoints. One enemy ship.
It depends how you set them up, but especially since capital ships tend to have guns on all sides, if you want to see them really open up, you need to have at least one enemy on all 3 flanks, basically.
Yeah. Yep, it kind of works the same thing with star bases we discovered when making our star bases as well.
The real annoying thing is that with Titans and star bases, it doesn't really show you the correct damage numbers.
Yeah, that's one thing we really noticed too.
If they can actually hit multiple targets, you don't really see it on the info card, so a lot of people were saying, like, the Executor doesn't seem to do that much damage. It's like, well, yeah, do that damage. Take the damage you see there and multiply it by... I think if you completely surround the Executor, it can fire on like 15 different ships.
Wow. So its usefulness really comes out in large fleet battles, in other words.
Yeah, it's a fleet killer, is basically... That's entirely what it's meant to do. It has the durability and the firepower to withstand a lot of hits from a lot of different ships and deal back to them, basically. So
nice. Now,
Yeah.
one thing I mentioned in my Rebellion review, what made you decide with the Nebula B, the hospital version of it?
I guess just because, I'll be honest, I had a much harder time deciding exactly what role types I was going to make all of the rebel frigates. I knew exactly which ones I wanted to use, but I wasn't exactly sure which jobs I wanted to give them.
Right.
The main problem was what I wanted to use for their scout. Because the current scout is, well, I've dubbed it the Corellian Scout, but that one is kind of, I won't say it's quite fanon, but it doesn't have any, you won't find anything on it on, I think we have, it's in one panel of a comic book kind of ship.
Yep.
And it's
I think your scout model has more been kind of revealed more in mods for a whole bunch of different games than actual
it wasn't
canon.
Really, but before I did that, I wasn't sure I wanted to use that particular scout model, so I was having a problem. Well, okay, I have to use either, I might have to use the CR90 as a scout, which I really didn't like, or as an anti-fighter, and at that point, the Nebulon B was actually going to be the light frigate, before I eventually decided, well, I'll just use that as a scout, and, that way, because I felt as the most iconic ship, the CR, and one that the Rebels had quite early, it should be, front and center of your fleet.
Right.
At least early on, so I really wanted the CR90 to be the light frigate if I could make it work, and I did, so. And with that, it's kind of like, well, support was kind of the only role left, and of course it was the hospital, ship where Luke got his hand repaired, so that's kind of how it ended up in the, it was like, well, everyone has, that's has the advantage of being, you don't need to know any expanded universe stuff to know that they were used for that purpose. Anyone who's seen episode 5 knows, so.
Right.
That's kind of how it got thrown.
See, and my whole idea of wanting to see different versions of it comes from having played a lot of, Star Wars X-Wing Alliance, where they're used for all kinds of different purposes in there.
Yeah, that's, unfortunately something that's really hard to, show that well in Sins, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, we do use the CR90 for the, Envoy Cruiser too, because of course that was the one taking Princess Leia around and her diplomatic mission. But for the most part, I really don't like to reuse the same ship for more than one role. So that's.
I noticed with like the Strike Cruiser, you have optional upgrades to it.
Yeah.
Have you given any thought to maybe doing something like that with the Nebulon B? Maybe giving players the possibility of giving it different roles? Or other ships, like the Bulk Cruiser.
I'm pretty happy with the Bulk Cruiser. I think the Bulk Cruiser ended up as the better Rebel support frigate, honestly. Just because it is the only ship in the mod that can heal hull, shields, and antimatter, all three of your primary stats. So it is like the ultimate in-combat, resupply ship, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's a pretty useful ship as it is. I think you will be happy to know the Nebulon will be the one that's most likely to see substantial. It will probably get at least one new ability, if nothing else.
Sweet.
Maybe a bit of a firepower increase.
Yeah, I must say, just the Nebulon B is, for one reason or another, my absolute favorite Star Wars ship. I couldn't even tell you the exact reason why, but I love that thing. Now, if I can ever remember...
Hoping, one day we might get convince Max to make us a new one for a model of it. So
is the one you're using now used from somewhere?
It is Evil Jedi's model of it.
Oh, yep.
A lot of people. He originally did the Warlords mod for Homeworld, I think. And,
yep.
He was one of the first guys to really do a lot of these models, and so you see his work all over the place.
Oh yeah.
The advantage that Max's models is, of course, that he designed them specifically for sins and its visual strengths, and that's something, we don't have a lot of models that way. So there's a reason his worked the best for no other reason than they were just optimized and designed around what you could do in the Sins engine.
Right.
So that's really
well. And as you said, you're more of a programmer, so until you have someone like we really lucked out having Max, who is at least when it comes to Sins, he's kind of a jack of all trades. He's good at programming, he's good at models, he's good at textures. Probably not the best at any of them, but he's a good all-around kind of person. Whereas like me, I'm good with iconography, so I did icons, but that's about it. But I'm learning everything else, and it's a slow process.
Well, I got started with maps, actually, so...
With Max? Oh, maps. Sorry. Oh, like in Galaxy Forge.
No. Let's not bring Apple into this. I don't know if we mentioned in the video yet, but we are actually playing a custom Star Wars map.
Oh, we did not. I did not. Oh my god.
4 worlds. And we just found something of slight interest.
Yeah, I didn't quite get there big enough to see the fleet, but Jovan Starbase, Pelator, Imperial 2s, Gladiator. Oh man. Interesting. Ooh, the planet looks beautiful, though.
Me and Mavo spent a lot of time trying to get it to work right. Honestly, I'm still not quite happy with it, but unfortunately, Sins does not work terribly well with very artificial planets, that are mostly urban skylines and metal.
Yeah, I see it's kind of distorted a few of the circles, but it still looks very nice.
Yeah.
Even with distortions. Yeah, we had a saying and have a saying in STA3 where if something happens that we don't like, it's basically just because Sins.
Yeah, if you can't explain everything. So, I don't know if we mentioned in the video yet, but we are actually playing a custom Star Wars map.
Oh, we did not. I did not. Oh my god.
4 worlds. And we just found something of slight interest.
Yeah, I didn't quite get there big enough to see the fleet, but Jovan Starbase, Pelator, Imperial 2s, Gladiator. Oh man. Interesting. Ooh, the planet looks beautiful, though.
Me and Mavo spent a lot of time trying to get it to work right. Honestly, I'm still not quite happy with it, but unfortunately, Sins does not work terribly well with very artificial planets, that are mostly urban skylines and metal.
Yeah, I see it's kind of distorted a few of the circles, but it still looks very nice.
Yeah.
Even with distortions. Yeah, we had a saying and have a saying in STA3 where if something happens that we don't like, it's basically just because Sins.
Yeah, if you can't explain everything.
Come on, colonize that. There we go. I am definitely lagging behind you here. Alright.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit distracted for the next few moments, so...
Pirate fleet?
Huh?
Pirate fleet?
Yep. But it shouldn't be too bad, and we have flagships for some extra firepower on here, so...
Yep, these models look really nice in Sins. They reflect very well. I like that Marauder cruiser too.
Yeah, we have been trying to take more advantage of some of the graphical features that Sins inherently supports, like the reflective hulls and all that. So between even ships that didn't get a new model between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3, you'll notice a lot of them just respond better to lighting and that kind of all these kind of subtle things.
Oh, repair center. Oh, that's now you have. Do you have models planned for everything that's currently stock, or?
I've been kind of on the fence about a few of the minor buildings. The main criteria was I wanted every combat unit to be unique, which is also why, the Empire doesn't have Nebulon Bs. I really didn't want there to be any overlap.
Right.
But,
well, there's still plenty of ships to choose from the Empire, so I'll give you that one.
But for some of the, the repair center and the culture centers, I think are the two things where you'll still see some of the stock models, if I find something that looks really good for that purpose, I'll use it, but I'm not in a real hurry to do anything about it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Although I probably could do something with the repair center. I have a bunch more space stations I've acquired from different sources, but I just haven't had the time to throw them in yet.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. The culture center is a little bit harder to do. You don't.
Planet development.
There's no similar mechanic in Empire at War, so I feel like you need to at least have a satellite dish if I'm going to call a space station a culture center, broadcast center, something like that.
Right.
So.
Let's see, can I get that yet? Yes, bulk cruisers on the way. Now I am falling behind in crystal production. Ouch. Get one of them and one of them.
Oh. That colonizable gas giant, Tarkin's saying, has a barrack. He can get 3 civics labs up to colonize it.
It has what?
Structure complete.
It's 2 right there, and not very hard.
Requires pressurized operations research.
Yeah. You're gonna need 3 civic labs to get to colonize gas giants. So.
Pressurized op. Yep, I just built my 3rd one, so that's worked out pretty well.
There you go. Yeah.
Cruiser standing by.
Oh, overload engines. Nice.
Allied forces are
I thought my flagship was like burning for a second, but it's just the overload engines on the back of it.
Yeah. Those stock flagship abilities there, yeah.
There's a reason why you called it Alpha 3, because it's still in Alpha.
Yeah.
Very well balanced for being an Alpha, I might add.
Particle effect, I guess, to look. Well, part of the advantage of spending a year off to work on Enhanced 4X before working on the Star Wars mod is that, you get a pretty good feel of the vanilla game, the balance, and what you want to do to change the game to make it play differently.
Yep. Well, I suppose keeping... you guys are kind of unique in the fact that you're keeping the stock races in.
Absolutely.
So it gives you kind of a baseline, I guess, to compare everything against, probably.
Yeah.
I know Bane for us we had to make a whole faction and then use that faction as a baseline. So a little bit weirder, I guess. But yeah, I really like the base ships, but to be honest, I don't play stock Sins very often, so this Interregnum is a wonderful way to get me some Star Wars and some base stock Sins at the same time. Ooh, that is a beautiful screenshot. No.
Yep, and it's one of the big differences between definitely me and some of the other Star Wars modders for this game is that I'm almost equal part Sins and Star Wars fan. I mean, obviously there's a lot more Star Wars stuff to consume, but
a lot more lore, yeah.
With Sins in 2008 when it came out, and I probably didn't think 6 years later I'd still be playing this, but I have no regrets.
Am I going to be able to take on a Golan 3 with my flagship Colony Capital, 2 gunships, and 6 corvettes?
Ready to
Probably, but I would see if you can't kill the militia and then just engage it with your Moncal cruisers.
Oh, okay.
So you don't take any losses. And then, let's see. If you could get a bomber squad or two over there, that might help against the space station. But the thing about the, old static defenses is, of course, they can't pursue you. So you can just, if you micromanage a few big units like capital ships, you don't really have any risk of losing them.
Right.
Once they get down to 1,000 health, just get them out of there, go to your repair bay. That's one of the reasons I gave the rebels repair bay to start, because they're supposed to do this kind of hit and run. Fight until they're really damaged, go back, repair, and do it again.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense lore-wise.
Yeah, and you'll notice a lot of they definitely have the best repair rates between the Nebulon B, not the flagship, but the real capital ship Liberty gives a really big buff to natural shield regeneration, and they have the best, their research gives the best regen rates all around you, so they can definitely get back into action once they've been damaged a bit quicker than everyone else.
Oh, speaking of which, I should probably get some of those Nebulon Bs and boat cruisers online. Oi. I'm too busy looking at all the shinies to actually play correctly.
Yeah, that's easy to fall victim to in Sims, and of course if that's the main thing you're trying to do, you can just set the difficulty to normal and hard, and you're not going to have to spend too much time worrying about the tactical details, which is another thing I really love about Sims.
Yeah. If you want, you can just have a battle completely automate. I don't even know what these flagship abilities are. Invulnerable shield, overload engines, purge systems. Okay, that's good to know.
They're basically just to, if your flagship gets in trouble, you have some means to get it out of there.
Makes sense.
Yep, and...
Ooh, I like this, harass ability on the CR90s.
Yep. The CR90s, they're definitely not the best light frigate in direct combat, but they have a ton of utility. They can lay mines, they can, they have the speed boost just there for free to, do hit and run attacks. They have, the harass ability there, it will reduce enemy frigate shield regeneration and antimatter regeneration, so...
I almost feel bad for blowing up that Karak. I love Karak cruisers. They're so cool looking. Yeah. For some reason I'm a big fan of the smaller frigates and cruisers way more so than I am the large capital ships in Star Wars lore.
Well, this is a good lot for you then, because I think compared to a lot of them, we have a lot more of the smaller ships.
Yeah, which is that's one thing I noticed from you compared to, let's say, Sins of a Galactic Empire, is they are very capital heavy, like extremely capital heavy. I mean it's definitely a different playstyle, which suits them very well, but yours kind of fits in with, I guess, combining the Sins and Star Wars universes better, since you're keeping the original races in.
Yeah, so of course, for the most part, the Rebels have some combined, ship types, but, for the most part, we needed one ship for everything, that Sins has. For, there's probably 15 frigates and cruisers a faction or something like that.
Yep.
So, most sci-fi universes have a pretty hard time coming up with that number to, without you having to make up ships. But Star Wars? Nope, that's no problem.
Star Wars has, between everything that's canon, every fan fiction, there's just way too many to even try counting.
I have not actually, the possible exception of the Corellian Scout there, sometimes we'll kind of make up, from a screenshot of a ship that we otherwise had no information about, we'll kind of try and turn into a real ship, but, none of these are totally fan fiction, they all come from somewhere.
Yep.
And I don't plan on adding anything that was not in some form of Star Wars media, official Star Wars media somewhere, whether it was terribly good or, you know, representative. You know, that's another question. Although, like, I guess it's for the Empire at War only ships. I tend to, of course, you know, units that were very obscure, I try wherever possible to put them in the non-heavy combat roles. You know, some people ask why the Tartan cruiser isn't an anti-fighter frigate, it's a scout frigate. Well, that's because I considered it less important. And the Lancer, you know, that was one of those guys mad that they made the Tartan instead of the, well, much more well-known at the time Lancer frigate. And, you know, they made up that Assault Frigate Mark II for no apparent reason. The Assault Frigate Mark I was much more iconic, so...
Right. Well, I think the Assault Frigate Mark II has actually been shown in several comics. So... that at least has, it's kind of a dreadnought mixed with Mon Calamari technology.
Yeah.
Whereas...
never heard that before, which is a bit surprising to me. I guess I'll have to double check it now. I feel like I've definitely visited the wiki pages on any of the ships that are in here quite a few times, trying to, you know, see just where they've come from, and I didn't see anything. It's possible it could have happened after the game, but... and even if that is true, you know, it's kind of like, well, it's your mid-tier heavy combat unit.
Yep.
I don't know, I still was a bit disappointed in vanilla that we didn't get an assault frigate, and of course I guess if I played the mods for Empire at War, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but I wasn't really doing mods at the time. I guess what, of course 2006, I don't know if mods were really that big of a deal back then.
Well, I have no idea how long ModDB has been around, for instance, but they've been around for a while, I know, at least. Probably 10 years, maybe? Longer than that, probably?
Might be. Let's see.
Oh no, my repair yard has gone away. Ooh, ski prey blast boats. Good looking ship.
I like the things. Some people apparently don't, but...
well, they kind of fall into a gray area on who all used the ski prey, so...
yeah. That is true. It's that's why, you know, it's one of the few units here that both the Empire and the Pirates have.
Yep.
But
well, they were in the Heir to the Empire trilogy. They were used extensively by Talon Card.
yep.
Cardi.
So, at one point I had looked it up, but I don't remember if the E is silent or not anymore.
Yeah, I think I had to when I first read that trilogy, and honestly, that trilogy is what I always hoped that they would do in movies afterwards, but I understand they kind of got to do their own thing, so can't blame them on that, I suppose.
Well, I knew they were going to cut something, but I hope they wouldn't have gotten rid of all of it, basically.
Right.
You know, we knew a pretty good chance that the new Jedi Order wasn't going to make it for the simple reason that they, well, I don't know if I want to put this spoilers, but I guess it's not canon anymore, so it doesn't matter, but they killed off Chewbacca, so...
Right. Everybody, it was very well written, but everybody was pissed off.
I think, I mean, yeah, obviously, when you kill off any major character, some people are going to be pissed off, but, you know, I think it was getting to the point where, you know, sometimes Star Wars is kind of getting to the point that it's starting to have a lot of the same problem comic book universes do.
Where you start doubling back on the same storylines, you mean?
Well, we're going to have that problem, but I meant more like, you know, Superman's not going to die, you know, or Batman usually, you know.
Right.
The plot armor is just so thick that, you know, no one was going to really take it seriously. So occasionally you have to do something really shocking and kill off one of the most beloved characters just so you can get a little bit back into the story again. You know, that you can kind of relate with the characters that they're actually in danger. But, and especially with the movie characters, you know, it was hard to believe at the time that they would even think of doing something like that.
Well,
but
it never happened.
Nope. And I mean,
Oh dear, I found the Vasari. Or no, wait, I am horrible with stock races. Illuminator vessels.
Advent Star attacking you.
Oh, Advent. Yeah, see, I was way off. Advent and Vasari we're going up against, right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, well, looks like I need to do something about that.
Yeah. They seem like they're ready to be quite an inconvenience for you there.
For now.
Well,
alright, I got a little surprise coming for them.
Excellent.
Dauntless Heavy Cruiser. Oh, one of the Solace ships.
Yes, from made by Sorosub Corporation.
Sorosub.
Sorosub, I
don't know.
don't speak Celestian.
I do not either, unfortunately. I think the MC-80A is the...
We've lost contact with
What was the Defiance in X-Wing versus TIE Fighter? I'm about to find out.
I don't remember which. I remember that the MC-80 and MC-80A are in the Fleet and X-Wing Alliance, but
The MC-80 is. I think the MC-80A was like strictly a yeah, the MC-80A I'm building right now was strictly a X-Wing versus TIE Fighter model.
that's, I don't know.
I remember specifically because in the last mission, this tiny little Moncal cruiser flies up in front of the Super Star Destroyer and blocks its path.
It does look a little similar to the MC-40.
Yep, the
So only
weird blocky things on the side are launchers of some kind.
they're the torpedo launchers.
Really, really big torpedo launchers.
Yep, which is part of the reason I wanted to use this ship, because it's the only big one that had torpedoes, or missiles. Anything that fired warheads for the rebels, I turned all proton torpedoes. And all the warheads for the Empire are concussion missiles, just because I like my weapon types separated.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they used I think you had it right where like the Empire used a lot more concussions. I mean, the Super Star Destroyer and the Victory both had a ton of concussion launchers. So
yep. But in lore-wise, you should be able to kind of change out to whatever you want to use. But just because it's sort of like, why does the Empire only use green turbo lasers and the Rebels use red? I kind of wanted to keep that.
Well, it's kind of like the same reason why different countries nowadays use different color tracers, just so you know what you're shooting at.
Yep. Or at least who to yell at if your own side hits you.
Friendly fire, blue on blue.
Yep.
Oh, I don't know which fighters to build.
Well, they had apparently. There's a Katana fleet somewhere because Yellow had a Katana fleet dreadnought that they had captured.
Not good.
So you might want at least one viewing squadron from somewhere in case that shows up again.
Oh, I got a couple. Now, did you do bomber squadrons do quite a bit of damage in this, I'm assuming?
Huh? Say that again, sorry?
Bomber squadrons, I'm assuming, do quite a bit of damage in your mod?
Yeah, I mean, they've been tweaked a bit. They're a little bit less good. They're not as good against structures, but otherwise, yeah, for the most part, they're what you want to use for anything bigger than, say, light frigate. The bombers are probably going to be the better one to use.
Now, that you used, I'm assuming part of Sins lets you, specifically do different damage types for everything, or damage bonuses against shields or types of ships, so on and so forth.
Yep, but for the most part, the fighters are pretty well separated in that fighters, corvettes, siege frigates, other fighters, of course, while the larger ships are typically the bombers are going to be your best bet. Although, of course, in this mod, I also have the anti-module bomber role type, so your B-Wings and the Empire can get TIE bombers with proton bombs that are... They give up some of their normal effectiveness against ships to do extra damage against structures.
Makes sense.
Since I had nerfed... I didn't like that... one of the things E4X did is that, in competitive multiplayer in Vanilla Sins, almost no one builds anti-structure cruisers just because bombers do a good job against structures too, and those can hit your other ships as well, while your anti-structure cruisers are just for structures, and almost no one ever uses them for that reason.
Right.
So, that's something.
And we kind of went that route too when we made the heavy artillery ships. And they're yeah. For instance, for Called Arms, we made the New Orleans for the Federation. It's outranges star bases and can just absolutely decimate a star base.
Awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, we felt because I think you're right. There was a lack of anyone using the artillery or the anti-module ships in Sins. So it was something Max really wanted to address, and hey, we need to make these ships important again. So, and I like that Sins lets you do certain ships do bonus damage to certain things.
Yep.
Terran Rogue Imperials. Why are you not bombing? Can the flagship bomb planets?
No, it can actually.
Oh, well that would explain it.
Yeah. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but Sins factions didn't bomb either, so...
That's true.
The only thing really unique about the flagships I did is that the Rebel flagship is the only one that has a fighter squadron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but otherwise they're pretty conventional, they're just with the pretty Star Wars models. Because of course...
Gallifrey. So your flagship does not have squadrons?
No, it's only the Rebels. It's a Star Destroyer. It's an Imperial 1 Star Destroyer model, but it cannot have fighters.
Oh. Interesting.
Just because the Sins factions all used battleships and they didn't have fighters. But I felt like the Rebels were, that's really one of their big strengths. So I felt like I could make an exception.
Oh yeah, I mean they would attack Star Destroyers with just fighters oftentimes.
Yeah.
So that I completely understand you on that one. Watching you take down this Golan 3 right now. And as we watch this battle, I
probably tell people is the Golan can attack on all sides, but it can only attack one target per side. So if you're going to attack one, you typically want all of your ships coming from one direction.
Which you're now fixing with your accuser.
So the Corvettes are a little bit harder to get into line there, but...
Now, are Golan something you might be beefing up after having played a little bit?
I feel like the big thing with the Golan is that without upgrades, it's kind of inefficient for how expensive it is. But the Empire has research to give it another fighter squadron, and only starts out with 1, but you can upgrade it to 2 with research and add some missile launchers on it. And after that, I think it's a pretty good deal at that point.
Okay. Because I know, like, for instance, we were talking about the Heir to the Empire trilogy, and in that one, when Garm Bel Iblis took over the defense of Coruscant, he pulled all his ships back behind the planetary shield because he's like, those Golans can take a punishment. And
yeah, well, I mean, compared to a normal Sins turret, I think they do pretty well. And, a low-level Star Destroyer versus the Golan platform, they're going to be slugging it out for a very long time, just as they would in Cannon. Yeah, I don't know. The one thing bad about the Golans is really that sometimes the AI really likes to... It kind of... just likes to span turrets sometimes.
yeah.
So... we have been trying to get a hold of a Golan 1 model to use more towards that kind of role, but
A new colony has been found.
Oh, there's I'm sure the guys over at the oh, what's it called?
Jumping to light speed.
X-Wing Alliance upgrade project might be willing to lend use of models.
You know, I actually do have
Our backup is joining.
a model of one of theirs that I've been meaning to use, but they're a little bit hard to get into Sins because Sins
There's
like
a there's a lot of conversions to be done, probably.
Allied
well, not just so much the conversions, but the Sins likes everything in one grouped model. You know, it's just one. There's no separate turrets or anything like that. It's just
Right.
one shit model. X-Wing Alliance is completely different. They like all the hard points in different models.
Yeah, because
So-
they have everything was moving and all the turrets were moving
And you can target
independently.
specific parts, and your homeworld's under attack.
Yep, I'm fixing that problem.
Frigates already, though. That's pretty good. Anyway, so yeah, it's just a lot of merging,
additional resources.
even for a small ship. The ship that I wanted is,
Assault
Oh,
frigate here.
I guess I can say it. I wanted. Have you ever heard of a Star Galleon?
Oh yeah, combat transport kind of.
Yeah, I wanted that to be the Imperial trade ship since the beginning of the mod, but not that many people have modeled it, so.
Oh yeah, but yeah, the one they used for the X-Wing Alliance project was beautiful.
Structure complete.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I have one. It's on my to-do list. Is to get all its different parts merged together. And let's see, do you need any help there?
I should be okay once my whole fleet gets there. Oh yeah,
The
my whole
admins
fleet's
are
there.
coming back now, so.
Oh, am I like sandwiched between them or something? I must be.
Let's see. The Visari should have well been able to attack me, but maybe they just haven't found me yet.
Assault frigate here.
Okay, I need.
Well,
What do
I'll
I
try
need?
to expand towards you now.
Get some more defenses going here. Turret shields. Execute defenses. Get some squadrons online. And always lacking crystal.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there goes that.
Yeah, if you're being especially doing a lot of research that uses more crystal, and then Sin's just the default maps just don't have as much of it.
Research complete.
It's a little unfortunate, but
Okay,
because the
I want
asteroids
my
are a little bit
first-
more biased towards metal, as are
Research complete.
let's see.
Freedom. Freedom. Keep
You know, I
upgrading my
think,
fleet capacity.
See those two planets that you still haven't discovered from your homeworld yet?
Yep.
There's basically just a few colonizable planets there that you're basically the only one that can grab them, just FYI.
Sounds like a plan.
Visari is going to be coming from a bit, off from Rendili, obviously. So
Brilliant scout,
that's-
ready to fly.
basically, if you go that way and then make a right angle towards me, that's where they're
Equal
at, more or
command,
less.
sir.
Oh, I totally
Feels
forgot
like
that
a-
these assault frigates have fighters.
Yep.
Allied forces are being attacked.
One thing about non-specific carrier cruisers in this mod is, like the assault frigate and quite a few of the Imperial cruisers, is they have fighters, but they're actually, the squadrons are smaller than your standard. So, like, it's not so big of a deal for the Rebels, because I think a normal X-Wing squadron is 3, but the assault frigate squadron has 2, because it's not a dedicated carrier, and I wanted to have some incentive to use the main carrier rather than everyone thinking, well, I can just build these cruisers and not have to worry about it. But
Right.
Our backup is joining.
and of course, you only get the fighters. You can't build bombers, so the non-specific carrier cruisers.
Interesting.
But
Kind
it
of
does show,
it
you know,
helps
that the
differentiate
carriers-
ships as well.
Yeah, and it's mainly just there to say, hey, some of the bigger cruisers like the Assault Frigate and the Gladiator Star Destroyer, they did have fighter bays. So.
Reporting in.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things in Star Wars have
Oh yeah.
Yes,
hangar
sir.
bays. Well, apparently even the CR-90 has a hangar bay.
I've seen a modified version, but even then, I think it's a bit of a stretch. One of my favorite. Some people will, point out on the mod page that, why does this ship not have, these stats or more fighters? And one of the things I love to point out is one of the New Republic ships, the Corona frigate, which you might like because it was designed as a
Very similar as the Nebula B, yep.
Yeah.
Prepare the jump.
Its canon stats say it has 36 fighter squadrons, and it's 275 meters long.
36 fighters, not necessarily squadrons.
Yeah, specific fighters. 3 squadrons worth.
Yeah. Yeah, there's... Well, and then if you look at some of the canon,
Frigate here.
ship books, it says the Nebulon B carried 2, which I think was also kind of a stretch.
On that thing. You don't see that in the movies. So,
Right.
Whether the Nebulon B even has fighters is a bit of a debate. I'm not terribly convinced that it does, but
Frequency open.
yeah, it's things like that. It's like I think
Structure complete.
clearly on quite a lot of the stats, someone just put numbers they thought looked good and didn't really think about the consequences. Hey, this ship is more fighters than this one that's 3 times bigger.
I think that's a common
Yeah, I mean,
theatrical kind of stat thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not just Star Wars, but that's why I take I don't always strictly follow the numbers if I think they're a bit off.
Right.
Allied forces are being
So and for ultimately you have to make this balance.
Our fleet is under attack. Our backup is joining.
Alright, now as I'm going to these new planets over here, I think, let me pause real quick. I think we'll call that for episode 1. Ran a little bit longer than I wanted to, but we just started talking and didn't stop talking, so
Yeah.
I'm really bad at that. But, so episode 1, I am doing nowhere near as well as Goafan is.
But you're getting all the enemy attention, so hopefully I'll send some reinforcements there to get some pressure off of them.
Oh yes, I've been able to fight them off, but I think I need to start working on a second fleet here, so.
Yeah.
Alright, that's it for episode 1. We will see you in the next episode. Until then, if you like what you saw, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.